Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss about anterior triangles of the neck. So we shall see the boundaries of the anterior triangles of the neck. So anterior triangle, posteriorly it is bounded by anterior border of sternocleidomastoid, as you can see in this picture. Okay. So anterior triangle, the posterior boundary of the anterior triangle is the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid. Then medially, the anterior triangle, it is bounded by the midline of the front of the neck, as you can see in this line diagram also. Posteriorly by anterior border of sternocleidomastoid, and medially by the midline of the front of the neck, or you can say this is anterior boundary or medial boundary of the anterior triangle of the neck. Superiorly, the anterior triangle, it is bounded by the base of the mandible. Okay, superiorly it is bounded by the base of the mandible. So this is also known as the base of the anterior triangle. We can see here, this is the base of the anterior triangle, which is formed by the lower border of the mandible or the base of the mandible. Then apex of the anterior triangle, it is formed by the manubrium sterni. This is the manubrium of the sternum. So this is the apex of the triangle, and here you have the base of the triangle. This is medially, the triangle is bounded by the midline of the front of the neck, posteriorly by the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle. So these are the boundaries of the anterior triangle of the neck. Okay. So basically we have total we say 7 triangles. So 3 on either side. Submental is being divided into half on the right side and half on the left side. So 3.5 on the right side and 3.5 on the left side. So total we have 7 triangles. Okay, the anterior triangles are 7 in number. So we shall discuss in detail about those triangles, but here in this picture we can see the submandibular triangle, nothing but the digastric triangle. Okay, how many we have digastric? One here and the other is on the other side. Okay, so 2 digastric triangles. Then we have 2 carotid triangles, the right and left side. Submental being only 1 triangle, but it is distributed in half. Okay, half of the submental lies in the right side and half of the submental triangle lies on the left side. We have 2 muscular triangles. Okay, so 2 carotid, 2 muscular 4, and 2 digastric triangle 6, and submental triangle is 1. So total 7 triangles are present in the anterior neck region. Okay, next, anterior triangle of the neck boundaries. Again the same. Medially, anterior median plane of the neck. Laterally, anterior border of sternocleidomastoid. Superiorly, base of the mandible, and a line joining from the angle of the mandible and the mastoid process. Up to there you have the superior extension of the anterior triangle. Subdivisions of the anterior triangle: subdivided by digastric belly and superior belly of the omohyoid into submental, digastric, carotid and muscular triangles. We shall see each and every triangle, their boundaries and their contents. Okay, remember, among these triangles, the digastric and carotid triangle are very important from examination point of view. So in this diagram we can see the anterior triangle subdivisions. This is submandibular triangle or the digastric triangle. This is the carotid triangle. Okay, and this is your the submental triangle, and this is the muscular triangle. Okay, so these are the subdivisions of the anterior triangle. Then before going into the subdivisions of the anterior triangle, let us look at the suprahyoid muscles. Suprahyoid muscles are nothing but muscles which lie above the hyoid bone. Okay, those they are suprahyoid muscles. So we shall see the list of suprahyoid muscles. So suprahyoid muscles, we have digastric, stylohyoid, mylohyoid, geniohyoid. Digastric origin anterior belly from the digastric fossa and posterior belly from the mastoid notch. Okay, remember this digastric fossa is at the mandible and is posterior belly from mastoid notch, that is at the mastoid process. Insertion, they have common insertion, that is intermediate tendon held by pulley to the hyoid bone. Okay, nerve supply of the digastric is anterior belly is supplied by mylohyoid nerve, whereas the posterior belly of the digastric it is supplied by facial nerve. Then the other suprahyoid muscle is stylohyoid. The name itself it tells you, from styloid process to the hyoid bone. So that is posterior surface of the styloid process. Origin, insertion, junction of the body and greater carnua of the hyoid bone, supplied by facial nerve. Then we have next suprahyoid muscle, that is mylohyoid muscle. It arises from the mylohyoid line of the mandible. We have discussed in the mandible. Okay, inner surface of the mandible, if you see, there is a line which is known as the mylohyoid line that gives origin to this mylohyoid muscle. So insertion, base of the hyoid bone, two muscles of both sides form a median raphe. Okay, that we shall see in the submental triangle. Okay, or in the floor of the digastric triangle also formed by this mylohyoid muscle, supplied by nerve to mylohyoid. Then we have geniohyoid, arises from the inferior mental spine or the genial tubercle on the mandible and insertion into the anterior surface of the body of the hyoid bone. So it is supplied through the C1 nerve through the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, from cervical plexus C1 through the hypoglossal nerve, the geniohyoid. Okay, so these are the list of suprahyoid muscles. You should remember the names, their origin, insertion and nerve supply. Now let us start the submental triangle. The submental triangle, it is actually an unpaired triangle. Submental triangle is unpaired triangle. We can appreciate this triangle below the chin. So we can see here the submental triangle below the chin. So half of the triangle, each half lies on the side of the midline of the neck, that you should remember. Okay, let us discuss the boundaries. Boundaries, either side anterior belly corresponding to the digastric muscle. So we can see here these are the anterior bellies of the digastric. On each side the submental triangle bounded by anterior bellies. Base, it is formed by body of the hyoid bone. This is the base of the submental triangle. Apex, that is at the chin, and floor, it is formed by right and left mylohyoid muscle. So floor of the submental triangle, it is formed by the mylohyoid muscle. So we can see here this is the mylohyoid. On either side the two bellies of the anterior digastric, and base is formed by the body of the hyoid. So these are the boundaries of this submental triangle. You can also make out the median raphe. Okay, so this, it lies just below the chin. Okay, so then we shall go for the contents of the submental triangle. Let us discuss the contents of the submental triangle. Submental triangle contains submental lymph nodes and some one or two lymph glands, then some small blood vessels, later unite to form anterior jugular vein. Then the lymph nodes of the submental triangle receive lymph from the skin of the chin, lower lip, floor of the mouth and the tip of the tongue. So they send lymph to the submandibular and jugular chain of nodes. So these are the contents of the submental triangle. So you should remember the boundaries and contents of the submental triangle. Next we shall discuss about the digastric triangle. It is very important from examination point of view. It comes as a short notes in the exam. So boundaries, the submandibular triangle, it is also known as submaxillary or digastric triangle. So di means two. We have two bellies of the digastric muscle, so it is named as the digastric. Okay. So it corresponds to the region of the neck immediately beneath the body of the mandible. Okay, beneath the body of the mandible you have the digastric triangle. So boundaries, if you see, anteriorly bounded by the anterior belly of the digastric, this is anterior belly of the digastric, posteriorly by the posterior belly of the digastric, superiorly by the base of the mandible, and the roof it is formed by the skin, superficial fascia containing platysma muscle, and there is a cervical branch of facial nerve which is supplying the platysma, some cutaneous nerves, and the investing layer of deep fascia. Okay, so these are the structures in the roof of the digastric triangle. Okay, so then you also have floor of the digastric triangle. The floor usually it is formed by the mylohyoid muscle and hyoglossus, and also the anterior part of the constrictor muscle of the pharynx. Okay, so these are the boundaries of the digastric triangle. So this is the anterior boundary, this is the posterior boundary, superiorly by the base of the mandible, and an imaginary line joining from the angle of the mandible up to the mastoid process. Then we have the roof, it is formed by the skin, superficial fascia containing the platysma, and cervical branch of facial nerve which is supplying the platysma. Right there, some cutaneous nerves and investing layer of deep fascia. So this is very important. Okay, so exact location between the two bellies of the digastric muscle, you have the digastric triangle. So in this diagram we can make out the floor of the digastric triangle, which is formed by the mylohyoid muscle, right, mylohyoid, and also the hyoglossus, and anterior part of the middle constrictor of the pharynx. So these are the muscles forming the floor of the digastric triangle. Remember, mylohyoid, hyoglossus, and anterior part of the middle constrictor muscle of the pharynx, they form the floor of the digastric triangle. What are the contents of the digastric triangle? So the main content of the anterior part of the digastric triangle is the superficial part of the submandibular gland. Okay, superficial part of the submandibular gland. Then we have the facial vein and submandibular lymph nodes. They belong to the level 1 group of lymph nodes. Okay, then facial artery, submental artery, mylohyoid nerve, and vessels. Okay, so facial artery, actually it is accompanied by the marginal mandibular branch of the facial nerve. Okay, which is not shown here, but remember, so main content of the anterior part of the digastric triangle is the superficial part of the submandibular gland. Then we have facial vein right? Then some submandibular lymph nodes. Then we have facial artery, submental artery, mylohyoid nerve and vessels. Okay, mylohyoid vessels, submental vessels, and also a part of the hypoglossal nerve you see in the anterior part of the digastric triangle. Then the structures superficial to the hyoglossus muscle, the submandibular gland, the intermediate tendon of the digastric and stylohyoid and hypoglossal nerve. Now let us start the submental triangle. The submental triangle, it is actually an unpaired triangle. Submental triangle is unpaired triangle. We can appreciate this triangle below the chin. So we can see here the submental triangle below the chin. So half of the triangle, each half lies on the side of the midline of the neck. That you should remember. Okay. Let us discuss the boundaries. Boundaries, deepest structures in the posterior triangle, in the posterior part of the digastric triangle, internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein and vagus nerve. We have submandibular lymph nodes. They belong to the level of group 1 of lymph nodes. They are clinically important because of their wide area drainage. So they are very commonly enlarged. They drain the center of the forehead, nose with maxillary frontal and ethmoid sinuses, the inner canthus of the eye, upper lip and anterior part of the cheek with adjoint gums, then outer part of the lower lip with gums and teeth excluding the incisors, and anterior part of the tongue and floor of the mouth. This is very important. It comes as a very short name, the submandibular lymph nodes. Okay, they belong to the level 1 group of lymph nodes, and they are clinically important because of their wide area of drainage. So they drain the following areas: center of the forehead, nose with maxillary sinus, frontal sinus and ethmoid sinuses, inner canthus of the eye, upper lip, okay, outer part of the lower lip with gums and teeth excluding the incisors, and anterior two-thirds of the tongue and floor of the mouth. So here in case, let me tell you some clinical point over here related to the digastric triangle. So the lymph nodes in the digastric triangle, they are clinically important. Okay, I told you that they drain over a wide area of the head and neck. Okay, so one of the nodes lies close to the facial artery, which is the content of the this digastric triangle. So that is at the lower part of the mandible. So any infection of the head and neck region may lead to enlargement of the and separation of these nodes. So what we do, an incision to open the abscess of these nodes, especially near the lower part of the mandible. So when you give incision at the lower part of the mandible, so what happens? You may accidentally injure the marginal mandibular nerve, which lies superficially, so that results in paralysis of the lower lip. Okay, so that you should remember. Let us discuss about carotid triangle. This is very important from examination point of view. Pay attention. So you can see in this diagram the location of the carotid triangle. Let us start with the boundaries of the carotid triangle. Anterior superiorly we say posterior belly of the digastric, anterior superiorly. Anterior inferiorly by the superior belly of the omohyoid, posteriorly by anterior margin of the sternocleidomastoid. Roof is formed by skin, superficial fascia with platysma and cutaneous nerve, and deep cervical fascia. Floor of the triangle, it is formed by the thyrohyoid muscle, hyoglossus muscle, and middle and inferior constrictor of the pharynx. So these are the boundaries of the carotid triangle. Let us look at the contents of the carotid triangle. So there are several important contents in the carotid triangle. Common carotid artery with carotid sinus and carotid body. At its termination, so common carotid artery, at its termination you see carotid sinus and carotid body. Then the division of common carotid into the internal and external carotid artery. Then anterior branches like superior thyroid lingual facial arteries, posterior branches occipital posterior auricular arteries, and medial ascending pharyngeal, the terminal is maxillary artery and superficial temporal artery. So these are the arteries usually you find in the triangle. Common carotid with its bifurcation. At its bifurcation you find carotid sinus and carotid body. Okay. Then you find internal carotid and external carotid. External carotid artery, following branches you find: the superior thyroid, lingual artery, facial artery, then the ascending pharyngeal artery, the occipital artery. Okay. So, and there are terminal branches of the external carotid you find in the carotid triangle. Okay. So you also find internal jugular vein, so with some tributaries draining into it, vagus nerve, then spinal accessory nerve, hypoglossal nerve, the sympathetic trunk, and lymph nodes you find in the carotid triangle. Okay. So what I stress here, the branches of external carotid, the true contents in the triangle, that is the superior thyroid, then lingual artery, this is within the carotid triangle, then facial artery, then ascending pharyngeal artery, then the occipital artery. So these are the main arteries which are branches from the external carotid. They are found in the carotid triangle. Contents of the carotid triangle. Veins. What are the veins we find in the carotid triangle? Internal jugular vein, common facial vein, pharyngeal vein, lingual vein, all draining into the internal jugular vein directly or via the facial vein. So all these veins, they drain into the internal jugular vein directly or via the facial vein. So these are the veins you find in the carotid triangle. Contents in the carotid triangle. What are the nerves we find in the carotid triangle? Vagus nerve running vertically downwards, then superior laryngeal nerve of the vagus dividing into external and internal laryngeal nerve. Okay, you can see here the external and internal laryngeal nerve, branches of superior laryngeal nerve. In turn, it is a branch from the vagus. Then spinal accessory nerve, hypoglossal nerve, sympathetic chain, carotid sheath and its contents, and lymph nodes such as jugulodigastric and jugulo-omohyoid group of lymph nodes. So these are the arteries, veins and nerves present in the carotid triangle. And let me tell you students that the contents of the carotid triangle, like external carotid artery and its branches, you have a separate class for it. So there about the branches and about the external carotid artery will be discussed in detail. But since we are studying about the carotid triangle, so we shall discuss about the boundaries and the contents which are present in the carotid triangle. Okay, you have separate classes for the contents in the carotid triangle in detail. Deepest structures in the posterior triangle, in the posterior part of the digastric triangle: internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein and vagus nerve. We have submandibular lymph nodes. What is this ansa cervicalis? Ansa means loop, cervicalis means a loop of nerve present in the cervical region. Okay, you can see here, this is actually the ansa cervicalis, a loop, also known as ansa hypoglossal. This is a thin nerve loop that lies embedded in the anterior wall of the carotid sheath. Formation: it has two roots. This is the superior root of the ansa cervicalis, also known as the descendens hypoglossal. Okay, it is a continuation of descending branch of the hypoglossal nerve. Then it has inferior root, the inferior root of the ansa cervicalis. It is formed by second, third cervical spinal nerves. Okay, C2, C3. So this ansa cervicalis, actually it supplies the infrahyoid group of muscles. Infrahyoid group of muscles. Remember students, this is very important from examination point of view. It comes as very short notes in the exam. Ansa cervicalis. Okay. Then we have a muscular triangle. Boundaries of the muscular triangle: anteriorly, anterior midline of the neck; posterior superiorly, the superior belly of the omohyoid; and posterior inferiorly, anterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle. So posterior inferiorly, anterior border of sternocleidomastoid; anteriorly, midline of the neck; posterior superiorly, the superior belly of the omohyoid. This is the superior belly of the omohyoid. This is the inferior belly. This is sternocleidomastoid. Okay, remember. So posterior inferiorly sternocleidomastoid, posterior superiorly superior belly of the omohyoid, anteriorly midline of the neck. These are the boundaries of this muscular triangle. It is also known as inferior carotid triangle. So contents, it does not have any significant contents except the infrahyoid group of muscles. Okay, they also form the floor of the triangle, the infrahyoid muscles. Let us see the infrahyoid group of muscles, their origin, insertion, innervation. Sternohyoid, sternothyroid, thyrohyoid, omohyoid, superior and inferior bellies. Okay, sternohyoid, name itself it tells you the origin. Posterior surface of the manubrium sterni, insertion into the medial part of the lower body of the hyoid bone. It is supplied by ansa cervicalis. Sternothyroid, posterior surface of the manubrium sterni, and inserts into the oblique line of lamina of the thyroid cartilage. Insertion into the innervation is by the ansa cervicalis. Thyrohyoid, from the oblique line of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage, and insertion into the body and greater cornu of the hyoid bone. It is supplied by C1 through hypoglossal nerve. Omohyoid, superior and inferior bellies, upper border of the scapula near the suprasternal notch. lower border of the body of the hyoid bone is the insertion supplied by ansa cervicalis. So basically all the muscles here, the infrahyoid group of muscles are supplied by the ansa cervicalis. Let us discuss about structures in the midline of the neck. Let me tell you the significance of the identification of the structures in the midline of the neck. So identification of midline structures is important in clinical examination of midline swellings. Okay, so extent of the structures in the midline of the neck is from chin up to the suprasternal notch of the front of the neck. So structures in the midline region, we have strap muscles, then we have the parts of the digestive tract, the pharynx and esophagus, then we have the parts of the respiratory tract, the larynx and the trachea, then we have cranial nerves, glossopharyngeal and vagus, and the accessory and hypoglossal nerve. And in the midline we have glands such as thyroid and parathyroid glands. So starting from the above, in the midline we have symphysis mentae, then we have a median raphe of the mylohyoid muscle, then we have hyoid bone. Hyoid bone is easily felt if the neck is somewhat extended. So if you extend your neck, you can easily feel the hyoid bone. So this hyoid bone, it is at the level of C3 vertebra, cervical 3 vertebra. Then we have the thyrohyoid membrane with the structures piercing it. Then we have the thyroid notch, which is produced by fusion of two laminae of the thyroid gland. Or the two laminae of the thyroid cartilage. So that is at the level of C4 and C5. Then we have the cricothyroid ligament or then cricoid cartilage. Then we have the first ring of the trachea and isthmus of the thyroid gland. Connecting the two lobes of the thyroid gland, we have the isthmus. So these are all the structures in the midline. Like you have inferior thyroid vein is also in the midline, and the jugular venous arch is also in the midline. Okay, so it is very, very important from practical examination point of view. The examiner will ask you what is the extent of the midline of the neck. So you have to tell from chin up to the suprasternal notch, and what are the structures in the midline of the neck from above downwards. Okay, so this you have to remember. It is important from practical examination point of view. So with this we have completed the anterior triangles of the neck. Boundaries and contents are very, very important. I have told you that among the anterior triangles, the digastric and carotid triangles are very, very important. The contents of the digastric, like the submandibular gland, you have a separate class for it, and that will be discussed in detail. And contents of the carotid triangle, like The external carotid artery and its branches will be discussed in detail. Okay, so for any clarifications you can text me. Thank you very much.